Hey everyone, Big Mick here. So, I've been entertaining the idea of trying to make a top 10 list for quite a while. Of course, doing so is hard. What do you make a top 10 list about? I don't know. But, I saw a couple videos last week that reignited my interest in trying to pinpoint maybe my top 10 favorite games of all time. Just my games, that I've played. So of course it's just my list. But of course, how do you even make such a complex list of all the games you played and all the memories associated with it? I don't know, but this is going to be my best attempt, because you've got to not only take into account like how long you've played a game, but how it's interacted with my fragile psyche and what it's done for me as a person and as a gamer. So I don't know. This is not going to be an easy feat, but admittedly, this will be my rough draft. And I don't have anything fancy, no, snazzy segue songs, although I would probably use, like, the Calico Cat Rock from DDR, or something if I could. Number 10, SSX Tricky for the PS2. This game holds a special place with me, not because I'm an extreme sports fan, which I'm really not, or that I love the celebrity voice work, which, no, not really. It has to do with my mom. In my history of gaming, SSX Tricky was the first video game that she genuinely wanted to play with me. It had always been, more of a spectator sport for her, watching me play games, despite my countless attempts. And yeah, sure, she's tried, different games now and then, but no game would really ever hold her interest. And yet, for a while, we were playing this game, I would say almost, once or twice a week for about a couple of months, head to head, just going down the slopes, having fun, seeing what happens when we, try racing, and sometimes just letting the controllers go and seeing what happened. She liked, our favorite course was the indoor course. I think that was like in Japan or something, just because of all the different things that it had for people to do. I don't remember all the places that well, but she always liked playing the guy with an afro. I think his name was Eddie. Partially because one of my friends had an afro at the time too, but whatever. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed, working on all the characters, trying to max out their stats. It was just a lot of fun, and yeah, sure, I've played a couple of the sequels too. SSX 3 was pretty good and had a really good soundtrack. But SSX Tricky's really the one that sealed the deal in for me. I had even kept like a save file of one of the races that my mom and I had done back in the PS2. And I had sorted on the memory card, which only in the process of making this video did I realize that the file got corrupted. So, yeah, I was pretty bummed about that. But this game was the strongest sense of family gaming that I have ever had, at least in terms of my, with my mom, and frankly have had ever since. Number 9, Tetris Attack for the Super Nintendo. I like my puzzle games. This one was one of the few ways that I got through my year in El Paso, Texas. I would play endless mode for over an hour at a time, just stacking and testing my reaction time, building the towers, watching them fall down, making massive combos. I got pretty good at it. Nothing, to the point of masterful, I never really got to play versus mode with a lot of people, but I played through with the computer and stuff, and I enjoyed the game thoroughly. Of course, my favorite music on that game was Blarg. Okay. Sometimes I would just get in that warning zone, the higher end where it starts putting that danger music. I would go up there intentionally just to hear the sped up music, and I would manage to try and keep it in there without the game getting out of control. I wish I could find like guitar tabs for that song, or at least the bass line. I can't really play it by ear, but it would be a lot of fun. Even now, the music just randomly pops into my head sometimes. Sometimes the slow version, sometimes the fast version. I don't need any MP3 player, but whatever. I really enjoy hearing that song when it pops up in my head. Number 8, Grand Theft Auto 3. No, it's not a free version. Grand Theft Auto 3 for the PS2. This game was a lot of firsts for me. It was my first PlayStation 2 game. It was my first M-rated game. It was the first time since Mario 64 that I really felt like I could do anything that I wanted in this game. This game was like my second sandbox. I don't know, that's what it felt like to me. I mean, I mostly kept the story mode, but, I would occasionally go on the rampages just for fun. It was also the first game where I really utilized online information, to help me through the game, whether it was, a strategy guide to get me through part of a mission, or looking up cheat codes so that you would, you could just do random things and play around with the game. But that's a high school freshman. That's when I got the game. I've never considered myself a very violent person, but I still found a catharsis in this game. Sometimes it is fun to just run over and shoot people in the game. But Vice City was very much the same way. And then, I don't know what happened, but by the time San Andreas had come out, I was, over it. I don't know, in a weird way, I felt like I had outgrown Grand Theft Auto. I didn't really have that same kind of desire for utter chaos, and watching the police department succumb to my will. Whatever. But for getting me through high school, GTA 3 will always be awesome. Number 7, Katamari Damacy for the PS2. I've never been a huge otaku anime fan. I don't know the plot lines of Dragon Ball Z. I never really watched Toonami. But when I saw this game, something inside of me just kind of snapped. My wacky non sequitur self was able to reveal itself, and it's been a wonderful feeling. So what if you're just picking up people and destroying the very fabric of society, and you need stars. As a passive astronomy fan all my life, I like the story, I like the play mechanics. It was a very fun, very awesome game. It was really the first game that I felt like I could just pick it up and pick a level and then just play it for no real attainable goal, just playing it for the sake of playing it. I didn't necessarily have to shoot for a high score, largest item or best time, how fast you can pick things up. Although, of course, the game, also could cater to that. But Katamari Damacy and its earworm soundtrack, my gosh, I love that soundtrack. Katamari introduced me to the notion of casual gaming. And for that, I love it, and I know I have it. I've been showing I love Katamari, but that was the only thing I couldn't find my Katamari Damacy disc, which makes me really sad and worried. Number 6, Pokemon Red for the Game Boy. Unfortunately, most of these titles that I've been talking about and that are going to be going through my list really do not reflect the way that gaming with my cousin Revu has affected me growing up. From us just, either playing around on Street Fighter 2 or Smash Bros, or the hours that we spent playing cops and robbers on Super Mario Kart, just trying to run into each other. Revu's always been there as a cohort and as a friend, but I'll get to that in a second. But part of the reason Pokemon makes this list is because with my copy of Red and his copy of Blue, we were able to do so much. We collected, we traded, we bargained. It really brought out the fun for both of us. I would be the one willing to reset my game, pick a new starter, be able to trade everything back and forth, make sure that we got all the rare items, the game exclusive ones. Even we would trade regular Pokemon just so that we could build them up faster. And of course making sure that we got the badges appropriate for it. And I know we collected all of the 150 Pokemon, but we only did it by working together. Likewise, as a single-player game, the setup is now, pretty formulaic, but this game was among my introduction to RPGs, and I admit, I'm not an RPG fan. I mean, I'm 0 for 3 with the Paper Mario games that I've played, and I don't really have the patience for a standard, or, what I think of as a standard RPG, but Pokemon was quick, pretty effortless, and it was just a lot of fun. I still have fun going back. Past couple years, you guys saw I did a Let's Play of it over the summer. I just enjoyed going back, playing the game through the way through. Although I've never really tried to do any special challenge runs or anything like that, but I just like picking up the game, going through the gyms, beating the Elite Four, and feeling really good about it. And I swear, I've heard this before, and if, fate were ever to allow me to begin my life again as an ice cream truck driver, I would totally use the Pallet Town music as my jingle. as you're going around. At least, the Gen 1 Palette to Town music. But that's just me. Number 5, Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo. This game is awesome because it's kind of like I fell in love with it twice. So the first time that I fell in love with it was when I watched Revu play it. It was awesome looking, but the music and the ambiance, it was too scary for me as a 10-year-old kid. So the first time I saw Super Metroid, I was like, this game is too scary. I'm going to let my cousin play the game. However, so, despite never actually picking up the controller myself, I loved exploring the game with him at the controls. I loved pointing out possible places for secrets. I distinctly remember finding the spacer for him and getting really thrown off in Lower Norfair with that shortcut that takes you back to regular Norfair after after you pass where Ridley is and everything, because the X-ray scope didn't really show anything there, and yet he was the one that convinced me that just walk over there even if it doesn't say it's anything there, and of course we found the shortcut that way. But anyway, as we progressed through the different sections, it was just a lot of fun. That Crocomire fight, I distinctly remember the first time that he fought Crocomire. I was just so into it. I was scared, I was excited, I had no idea what was going on. It was great. But then, we got through the game, maybe with like 60 or 70% of the items, and once we got through it, it didn't really have a whole lot of replayability for us. It's like we played through the game, we knew there was more to explore, but we kind of felt like we had, pretty much run the game through its course. And of course it was his copy of the game anyway. But then in high school, a friend of mine began telling me about his speed runs through Super Metroid, and so I started thinking, man, Super Metroid was an awesome game. Maybe I should go back and, try playing it again. So I bought it for myself, this time on the Wii Virtual Console, and I just started falling in love with the game over and over again. I started using online tutorials and old-fashioned guides too, just to try and get through the game. How fast can I go through the game? And, I still love the challenge, I love the layout, and the game just has a lot of, not compatibility, but yes, in a lot of ways it's compatible to the player. It's like you can make it a kind of game that you want it to be. I mean, obviously it's still the same game, but, it can be catered to the way that you like to play. I don't know, it's pretty weird. But I got pretty good at it, so much that my friend and I have actually done, like, head-to-head races, and we use completely different strategies. I try and go through the main game, kind of like a person who was playing it for the first time maybe would go through it, and he uses a lot of game-breaking techniques that have a lot more risk, but also more reward, such as getting to Phantom with only like 2 energy tanks, and without any of the high jump boots, or the, oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking on that right now, the speed booster. But yeah, so it's just a lot of fun. Of course, both times we've tried doing this, like we've put 2 TVs down, our systems down, head to head, sitting there next to each other, and both times we've tied. Of course, I can do it, and I've been able to 100% the game in less than an hour 20 before. Number 4, Yoshi for the NES. So, much like Tetris Attack, Yoshi is a game that I will love forever. I remember when I was at a Walmart and my mom said that I could get a new video game, and I remember that it cost $39.44. I was down to 2 options. It was between Mega Man 4, which I had rented before at the local store, and I knew I liked that game, or I saw this puzzle game called Yoshi. And, from the box it looked like fun. I recognized Yoshi from Super Mario World. I didn't have an NES at the time, or a Super NES at the time, so I just still had my regular NES. But given those 2 options, I decided to take a chance, and I picked Yoshi, and my third choice was Color a Dinosaur. So I think I made off with a pretty good decision, from that point, and it's been awesome ever since. So, just following a couple of simple rules, Yoshi, the game, for me, is like what Tetris is to other people. I would just play the game hours on end, and I still find enjoyment. I re-downloaded it on the Wii Virtual Console, and I still play it there too. I play it on my NES, and I play it from the Wii. I just enjoy the game, stacking and trying to survive, and I love the Star theme music that, you know, is one of the songs that you can play. I just still love it. I don't know, it's the kind of game where I just get to focus. I can focus on it and not really have to think about anything else. That's what I like. That's what I like about it so much. Number 3, Mega Man 5. I love my Mega Man. So ever since I rented Mega Man 2, I've had a following for the Blue Bomber. Of course, I doubt I beat Mega Man 2 on a rental. But as sequels came out, Mega Man 3, Mega Man 4, I got a little better each time. By the time the Super Nintendo would come out, like I already mentioned, I still didn't get mine until the end of like 94. So I still was stuck with my NES games. And then when I saw that Mega Man 5 had finally come out, I was like, I'm just gonna buy this game. You know, I was really fortunate that my mom bought me this game, and I was just like, yes, I'm just gonna buy this now, because the rental store didn't have it at all. So I was just like, you know, for me it felt like the Mega Man games had kept getting better and better. So I figured by 5, this has got to be like the epitome of it. They've got it down pat. They've got to have it down pat. And in a lot of ways, I feel like it did. Of course, you know, it was pretty formulaic by the time that we got to Mega Man 5, and it is arguably the easiest of the NES Mega Man games. But for me, I've just played this thing so much and so many times that I really didn't care. I don't care. Even now, you know, with 9 and 10 out, I'll still play 5. Maybe I should do like a top 10 just for Mega Man themes, but everybody else has done that already. And admittedly, I don't have any copies beyond. I don't have 7 or 8 myself, but Revu, my cousin, does have a copy of Anniversary Collection, so maybe I would have to revisit those in the future. Number 2, Rock Band 2. Multi-platform, but of course I'm playing on the Wii. But before Rock Band, there was Dance Dance Revolution. You know, I was never like super awesome at the game, but I loved dancing to the music and trying to work out a sweat. And you know, I was ecstatic when I had heard that some schools were trying to implement it as part of a, you know, PE program. Of course, mine never did. However, my first real experience with rhythm games, the DDR, I mean, that really did set precedent for the awesomeness that followed. And, you know, I would buy the home versions of DDR. Sometimes I would use a dance pad. I mean, I probably went through 5 or 6 dance pads. And sometimes I would just use just use the controller just to jam along to the music. It was great. And then, that was for high school. And then when college came around, I started hearing about this game called Guitar Hero. Stupidly, I picked it up during finals of my freshman year. And my roommates and I really started getting into it. We were trying to go through the main game, beat each other's scores. Of my roommates and I was clearly the best at it, but we all had a lot of fun. We only had one controller, so we couldn't really do a whole lot of versus competition, but you know, we would pass the guitar around and see everybody's scores. Guitar Hero 2 came out the next year, and I actually won my Wii in a Guitar Hero competition. So anything that I've done on my Wii is thankful in part to Guitar Hero, which was of course thankful to Dance Dance Revolution and the whole music rhythm game genre. And I was really contemplating putting Guitar Hero 2 as my number 2 choice, but then, you know, I started thinking about Rock Band and all the things that Rock Band did as well. I mean, Guitar Hero 3 too. I mean, Guitar Hero 3 was also awesome. But when Rock Band and Rock Band 2 came out, you know, it also just brought this whole new dynamic. I mean, it had the singing and it had the drums. You know, so you could have multiple people play at the same time. It wasn't just guitar, it was a whole experience that you and your friends could enjoy. And I you know, going to people's houses, playing the different instruments, trying to sing. They usually made me stop singing after a song or two. But, you know, it's great. And of course I'm showing Rock Band 3 right now because that's just what I have footage of. And it has the larger library now, but Rock Band 2 just felt like the epitome based on, you know, the availability of it at the time, the way that my friends and I just played the crap out of that game, and it was so much fun. Of course, I do still have nightmares about not being able to 5-star Cowboys from Hell on the original Guitar Hero. I'm sorry, Pantera. Number 1, Super Mario Bros. For the NES. So, yeah, cliche as it may be, you know, but Super Mario Bros. Was my first video game. It wasn't the very first video game I had ever played. My my cousin Revu had a 2600, and he had Space Invaders, so I played Space Invaders, the home version, and we even had an old Pong knockoff that we could connect to the TV and play before that. But when I got my NES when I was 3, and it's been love ever since. Of course, all the sequels and consoles and spin-offs later, but so much depended on this game, and succeed it did. Just going through the level, I even remember I wrote a letter to my dad once. I must have been like 8, but I had said in the letter that I had beaten the game over 80 times. It was a very peculiar number, and that's why it still resonates in my head. And I actually found the letter, like, once I had finally left that one city and moved up here to Tucson, where I am now, and it just kind of stopped me on my tracks, because 1, I thought I had actually gotten sent, and then 2, because by the time I was already 8, I had said that I had already beaten the game 80 times. So, counting for all the times that I had played it after that, man, I don't know, this was just my way of growing up. It was great. And, maybe I didn't have a dad, I had Mario. I know that sounds a little dumb and stupid, but, it really helped me out a lot. It helped me grow up. So, of course, I've gotten in contact with my dad much more often now and stuff, but Mario was there for me, growing up. So, for that, Mario is number 1. So I want to thank you guys really a lot for listening to this whole list. I've kind of, I pre-wrote this thing out. It's actually available on my gaming blog, just my channel name at WordPress. If you want to read it, if you want to read everything through again and just see some other things that I've ranted about in the meantime, I just do random gaming things every now and then. But thank you guys so much for watching. This is Big Mac saying, later.